Mr. Nightingale's Diary, a farce in one act, by Charles Dickens and Mark Lemon. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dramatis Personae.
Mr. Nightingale, read by Alan Johns.
Mr. Gabblewig of the Middle Temple, read by Todd.
Tip, read by Kristingj.
Slap, professionally Mr. Formaville, read by Elizabeth Klett.
Lithers, landlord of the Water Lily, read by Algy Pug.
Rosina, read by Dwan.
Susan, read by Amanda Friday.
Narration recorded by Chuck Williamson. Mr. Nightingale's Diary, Scene 1. The common room of the Water Lily at Malvern. Door and window in flat. A carriage stops. Doorbell rings violently. Tip, without.
Now then, waiter, landlord, somebody.
Enters through door with a quantity of luggage, meeting Lithers running in, left.
Here you are, my boy.
Tip, much offended.
My boy? Who are you boying off? Don't do it. I won't have it. The worm will turn if it's trod upon.
I never trod upon you.
What do you mean by calling me a worm?
You call yourself one. You ought to know what you are better than I do.
Gabblewig, without.
Has anybody seen that puppy of mine? Answers the name of Tip, with a gold lace collar.
Enters.
Ah, here you are. You scoundrel, where have you been?
Good gracious me. Why, if it ain't Mr. Gabblewig, Junior.
What, Lithers? Do you turn up in Malvern Wells, of all the places on earth?
Bless you, sir, I've been landlord of this little place these 2 years. Ever since you did me that great kindness, ever since you paid out that execution for me when I was in the greengrocery way and used to wait at your parties in the Temple, which is 5 years ago come Christmas, I've been through a little legacy my wife dropped into in the public line. I'm overjoyed to see you, sir. How do you do, sir? Do you find yourself pretty well, sir?
Gabblewig, moodily seating himself.
Why, no, I can't say I am pretty well.
No more ain't I.
Be so good as to take those boots of yours into the kitchen, sir.
Tip, reluctantly.
Yes, sir.
And the baggage into my bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Aside.
Here's a world.
Exit left.
The Queen's Counsellor that is to be looks very down, uncommonly down. Something's wrong. I wonder what it is. Can't be debt. Don't look like drinking. Hope it isn't dice. Ahem. I beg your pardon, Mr. Gabblewig, but you'd wish to dine, sir? He don't hear.
Gets round, dusting the table as he goes, and at last stoops his head so as to come face to face with him.
What would you choose for dinner, Mr. Gabblewig?
Yes. Give me some cold veal.
Cold veal? He's out of his mind.
I'm a miserable wretch. I was going to be married. I am not going to be married. The young lady's uncle refuses to consent. It's all off, all over, all up.
But there are other young ladies.
Don't talk nonsense.
Lithers, aside.
All the rest are cold veal, I suppose.
Aloud.
But you'll excuse my taking the liberty, being so much beholden to you, but couldn't anything be done to get over the difficulty?
Nothing at all. How is it possible? Do you know the nature of Uncle's objection? But of course you don't. I'll tell you. He says I speak too fast and am too slow. Want reality of purpose and all that. He says I'm all words. What the devil else does he suppose I can be, being a lawyer? He says I happen to be counsel for his daughter just now, but after marriage might be counsel for the opposite side. He says I am wanting in earnestness, deficient in moral go-aheadism.
In which?
Just so. In consequence of which, you behold before you a crushed flower. I am shut up and done for. The peace of the valley is fled. I have come down here to see if the cold water cure will have any effect on a broken heart. Having had a course of wet blanket, I am going to try the wet sheet. Dare say I shall finish ere long with a daisy counterpane.
Lithers, aside.
Everybody's bit by a cold water. It will be the ruin of our business.
If the waters of Malvern were the waters of Leith, I'd take a douche 40 feet high this afternoon, and drink 25 tumblers before breakfast tomorrow morning. Anything to wash out the tormenting remembrance of Rosina Nightingale.
Nightingale, Mr. Gabblewig?
Nightingale. As the Shakespeare duet went in the happy days of our amateur plays. The nightingale alone, she, poor bird, as all forlorn, leaned her breast up till a thorn. I've no doubt she's doing it at the present moment, or leaning her head against the drawing-room window, looking across the crescent. It's all the same.
The crescent, Mr. Gabblewig?
The crescent.
Not at Bath?
Of Bath.
Lithers, feeling in his pocket.
Good gracious.
Gives letter.
Look at that, sir.
The cramped hand of the obstinate old bird who might, could, and should have been, and won't be, my father-in-law.
Reads.
Christopher Nightingale's compliments to the landlord of the Water Lily at Malvern Wells.
The present establishment.
Gabblewig, reading.
And hearing it is a quiet, unpretending, well-conducted house, requests to have the following rooms prepared for him on Tuesday afternoon.
The present afternoon.
Gabblewig, reading.
Namely, a private sitting-room with a weed? He doesn't smoke.
Lithers, looking over his shoulder.
A view, sir?
Ah, with a view. Aye. A bedroom for Christopher N. with a wormy pew?
Lithers, looking over his shoulder.
A warming pan.
To be sure, but it's as like one as the other. With a warming pan, and 2 suitable chambers for Miss Rosina Nightingale. Support me.
Hold up, Mr. Gabblewig.
You might knock me down with a feather.
But you needn't knock me down with a barrister. Hold up, sir.
Gabblewig, reading.
And her maid. Christopher Nightingale intends to try the cold water cure.
I beg your pardon, sir. What's his complaint?
Nothing.
Lithers, shaking head.
He'll never get over it, sir. Of all the invalids that come down here, the invalids that have nothing the matter with them are the hopeless cases.
Gabblewig, reading.
Cold water cure. Having drunk, see diary, 467 gallons, 3 pints and a half of the various celebrated waters of England and Germany, and proved them to be all humbugs. He has likewise proved, see diary, all pills to be humbugs. Miss Rosina Nightingale, being rather low, will also try the cold water cure, which will probably rouse her. Never. Perhaps she, like me, may struggle with, and I have no doubt of it, Lithers, for she has the tenderest heart in the world, some feeling of regret, awakened by the present individual. But if she loved as I have loved, and I have no doubt she did and does, she never can forget. And she won't, I feel convinced, if it's only an obstinacy.
Gives letter back.
Well, sir, what will you do? I'm entirely devoted to you and ready to serve you in any way. Will you have a ladder from the builders and run away with a young lady in the middle of the night? Or would the key of the street door be equally agreeable?
Neither. Can't be done. If it could be done, I should have done it in Bath. Grateful duty won't admit of union without consent of uncle. Uncle won't give consent, stick won't beat dog, dog won't bite pig, pig won't go over the stile, and so the lovers will never be married.
Sitting down as before.
Give me the cold veal, and the day before yesterday's paper.
Exit Lithers, and returns immediately with papers. Slap, without.
Hello, here. My name is Formerville. Is Mr. Formerville's luggage arrived? Several boxes were sent on beforehand for Mr. Formerville. Are those boxes here?
Entering at door, preceded by Lithers, who bows him in.
Do you hear me, my man? Has Mr. Formaville's luggage, I am Mr. Formaville, arrived?
Quite safely, sir, yesterday. 3 boxes, sir, and a pair of foils.
And a pair of foils, the same. Very good. Take this cap.
Slithers puts it down.
Good. Put these gloves in the cap.
Slithers does so.
Good. Give me the cap again, it's cold.
He does so.
Very good. Are you the landlord?
I am Thomas Slithers, the landlord, sir.
Very good. You write in the title pages of all your books, no doubt. Thomas Slithers is my name, and landlord is my station, Malvern Wells my dwelling place, and chalk my occupation. What have you got to eat, my man?
Well, sir, we could do you a nice steak, or we could toss you up a cutlet, or...
What have you ready dressed, my man?
We have a very fine York ham and a beautiful fowl, sir.
Produce them. Let the banquet be served. Stay, have you...
Slithers, rubbing hands.
Well, sir, we have, and I can strongly recommend it.
To what may that remark refer, my friend?
I thought you mentioned Rhine wine, sir.
Oh, truly, yes, I think I did. Yes, I'm sure I did. Is it very fine?
It is uncommon fine, sir. Liebfrau Milch of the most delicious quality.
You may produce a flask. The price is no consideration.
Aside.
As I shall never pay for it.
Directly, sir.
Exit.
So, he bites. He will be done. If he will be done, he must be done. I can't help it. Thus men rush upon their fate. A stranger. Your servant, sir. My name is Formaville.
Gabblewig, who has previously observed him.
Of several provincial theatres, I believe, and formerly engaged to assist an amateur company at Bath, under the management of...
Slap, with a theatrical pretence of being affected.
Mr. Gabblewig! Heavens! This recognition is so sudden, so unlooked for, it unmans me.
Aside.
Owe him £15, 4 shirts and a waistcoat. Hope he's forgotten the loan of those trifles. Oh, sir, if I drop a tear upon that hand...
Consider it done. Suppose the tear, as we used to say at rehearsal. How are you going on? You have left the profession?
Slap, aside.
Or the profession left me. I either turned it off, or it turned me off. All one.
Aloud.
Yes, Mr. Gabblewig, I am now living on a little property, that is, have expectations.
Aside.
Of doing an old gentleman.
I have my apprehensions, Mr. Formaville, otherwise, I believe, Mr. Slap.
Slap, sir, was my father's name. Do not reproach me with the misfortunes of my ancestors.
I was about to say, Slap, otherwise Formaville, that I have a very strong belief that you have been for some time established in the begging letter writing business. And when a gentleman of that description drops a tear on my hand has a tendency to drop itself on his nose.
I don't understand you, sir.
I see you don't. Now the danger is that I, Gabblewig, may take the profession of the law into my own hands and eject Slap, otherwise Formaville, from the nearest casement or window, being at a height from the ground not exceeding 25 feet.
Slap, angrily.
Sir, I perceive how it is. A vindictive old person of the name of Nightingale, who denounced me to the Mendicity Society, and who has pursued me in various ways, has prejudiced your mind somehow, publicly or privately, against an injured and calumniated victim. But let that Nightingale beware, for if the Nightingale is not a bird, though an old one, that I will catch yet once again with chaff, and clip the wings of, too, I'm...
Aside.
Confound my temper! Where's it running?
affects to weep in silence. Gabblewig aside.
Oh ho! That's what brings him here, is it? A trap for the Nightingales? I may show the old fellow that I have some purpose in me after all. Those amateur dresses among my baggage. Lither's assistance, done. Mr. Formaville.
Slap with injured dignity.
Sir?
Gabblewig, taking up hat and stick.
As I am not ambitious of the honour of your company, I shall leave you in possession of this apartment. I believe that you are rather absent, are you not?
Sir, I am. Rather so.
Exactly. Then you will do me the favour to observe that the spoons and forks of this establishment are the private property of the landlord.
Exit.
And that man wallows in 800 a year. And half that sum would make my wife and children, if I had any, happy.
Enter Lithers with tray on which are fowl, ham, bread, and glasses.
But arise, black vengeance! Nightingale shall suffer doubly. Nightingale found me out. When a man finds me out in imposing on him, I never forgive him, and when he don't find me out, I never leave off imposing on him. Those are my principles. What ho! Wine here.
Lithers, arranging table and chair.
Wine coming, sir, directly. My young man has gone below for ye.
Bell without.
More company? Mr. Nightingale, beyond a doubt.
Showing him at door.
This way, sir, if you please. Your letter received, sir, and your rooms prepared.
Slap, looking off melodramatically before seating himself at table.
Is that the malignant whom these eyes have never yet betasted with a look? Caitiff, tremble!
Sits as Nightingale enters with Rosina and Susan. Nightingale muffled in a shawl and carrying a great coat. Nightingale to Lithers.
That'll do. That will do. Don't bother, sir. I am nervous and can't bear to be bothered. What I want is peace. Instead of peace, I've got...
Looking at Rosina.
What rhymes to it and is not at all like it.
Sits, covering his legs with his great coat.
Oh, uncle, is it not enough that I am never to redeem those pledges which...
Don't talk to me about redeeming pledges as if I was a pawnbroker. Oh!
Starts.
Are you ill, sir?
Am I ever anything else, ma'am? Here, refer to diary.
Gives book.
Rosina, save me the trouble of my glasses. See last Tuesday.
I see it, sir.
Turning over leaves.
What's the afternoon entry?
Rosina reads.
New symptom. Crick in back. Sensation as if a stiff bootjack suddenly tried to be doubled up by strong person.
Nightingale starts again.
Oh!
Symptom repeated, sir?
Symptom repeated. I must put it down.
Susan brings chair and produces screw inkstand and pen from her pocket. Nightingale takes the book on his knee and writes.
Symptom repeated. Oh!
Starts again.
Symptom repeated.
Writes again.
Mr. Lithers, I believe?
At your service, sir.
Mr. Lithers, I am a nervous man and require peace. We had better come to an understanding. I am a water patient, but I'll pay for wine. You'll be so good as to call the pump sherry at lunch, port at dinner, and brandy and water at night. Now, be so kind as to direct the chambermaid to show this discontented young lady her room.
Certainly, sir. This way, if you please, miss.
He whispers her. She screams. Nightingale, alarmed.
What's the matter?
Oh, uncle, I felt as if... Don't be frightened, uncle. As if something had touched me here.
Hand on heart.
So unexpectedly that I... Don't be frightened, uncle. That I almost dropped, uncle.
Lord bless me! Bootjack and strong person contagious. Susan, a mouthful of ink.
Dips his pen in her inkstand and writes.
A symptom. shortly afterwards repeated in Nice. Susan, you don't feel anything particular, do you?
Nothing whatever, sir.
Oh, you never do. You are the most aggravating young woman in the world.
Lor, sir, you wouldn't wish a party ill, I'm sure.
Ill? You are ill, if you only knew it. If you were as intimate with your own interior as I am with mine, your hair would stand on end.
Then I'm very glad of my ignorance, sir, for I wish it to keep in curl. Now, Miss Rosina.
Exit Rosina, making a sign of secrecy to Lithers, who goes before.
Oh ho, there's something in the wind that's not the bootjack.
Exit. Nightingale seated.
Now there's a man yonder eating his dinner as if he enjoyed it. I should say from his figure that he generally did enjoy his dinner. I wish I did. I wonder whether there is anything that would do me good. I have tried hot water and hot mud and hot vapor, and have imbibed all sorts of springs from 0 to boiling, and have gone completely through the pharmacopoeia. Yet I don't find myself a bit better. My diary is my only comfort.
Putting it into his greatcoat, unconsciously drops it.
When I began to book my symptoms and to refer back of an evening, then I began to find out my true condition. Oh!
Starts.
A new symptom, Lord bless me! Sensation of as if small train of gunpowder sprinkled from left hip to ankle and exploded by successful Guy Fawkes. I must book it at once, or I shall be taken with something else before it's entered. Susan, another mouthful of ink. Most extraordinary.
Exit. Slap cautiously approaches the diary. As he does so, Gabblewig looks in and listens.
What's this? A diary. Remarkable passion for pills, and quite a furor for doctors. Very unconjugal allusions to Mrs. Nightingale. Poor Maria, most valuable of sisters, to me an annuity, to your husband a tormentor. Shall I bleed him? Metaphorically bleed him. Why not? He never regarded the claims of kindred. Why should I? Oh, he returns.
Puts down book. Re-enter Nightingale, looking about.
Bless my heart, I have left my diary somewhere. Oh, here is the precious volume, no doubt where I dropped it.
Picks up book.
Oh, if the stranger had opened it, what information he might have acquired. He'd have found out, by analogy, things concerning himself that he little dreams of. He has no idea how ill he is, or how thin he ought to be.
Exit.
Now then.
Tucking up wristbands.
For the foul in earnest. Where is that wine? Hello, where is that wine?
Enter Gabblewig as Boots.
Here you are, sir.
Starting.
What do I behold? Mr. Formaville, the eminent tragedian.
Who the devil are you? Keep off.
What? Don't you remember me, sir?
No, I don't indeed.
Not when I carried a banner with a silver dragon on it, when you played the Tartar prince at what's-its-names? And when you used to bring the house down with that there pint about revenge, you know?
What? Do you mean when I struck the attitude and said, "Ah, recreant! The princess and revenge are both my own. She is my prisoner. Tremble."
Never. This is to decide.
They go through the motions of a broadsword combat. Slap, having been run through the body, sits down and begins to eat voraciously. Gabblewig, who has kept the bottle all the while, sits opposite to him at table.
Oh, Lord bless me, what an actor you was!
Drinks.
That's what I call the true tragic fire, when you strike it out of the swords. Give me showers of sparks, and then I know what you are up to. Lord bless me, the way I've seen you perspire, I shall never see such an actor again.
Slap, complacently.
I think you remember me.
Think? Why, don't you remember when you left Taunton without paying that there washerwoman, and when she...
You needn't proceed. It's quite clear that you remember me.
Gabblewig drinks again.
Lord bless your heart, what an actor you was. What a Romeo you was, you know.
Drinks again.
I believe there was something in me as Romeo.
Ay, and something of you, too. The Montagues was a fine family when you was the lightest weight among them. And Lord bless my soul, what a Prince Henry you was! I see you a drinking the sack now, I do.
Drinks again.
I beg your pardon, my friend. Is that my wine?
Gabblewig, affecting to meditate and drinking again.
Lord bless me, what an actor! I seem to go into a trance like when I think of it.
Is filling his glass again when Slap comes round and takes the bottle.
I'll give you Formaville and the Dramer. Hooray!
Drinks, and then takes a leg of the fowl in his fingers. Slap removes the dish. Slap, aside.
At least he doesn't know that I was turned out of the company in disgrace. That's something. Are you the waiter here, my cool but discriminative acquaintance?
Well, I'm sort of waiter, and sort of half boots. I was with a travelling circus after I left you. The riders, the riders! Be in time, be in time. Now, Mr. Marion, all in to begin, all that you know. But I shall never see acting no more. It went right out with you, bless you.
All through this dialogue, whenever Slap in a moment of confidence replaces the fowl or wine, Gabblewig helps himself. Slap, aside.
I'll pump him. Rule in life. Whenever no other work on hand, pump.
To him.
I forget your name.
Bitt. Charlie Bitt. That's my real name. When I first went on the banners, I was Blitherington Fordbury. But they said it came so expensive in the printing that I left it off.
Much business done in this house?
Very flat.
Old gentleman in nankeen trousers been here long?
Just come. What do you suppose I've heard? Supposed to be a bachelor, but got a wife.
No.
Yes.
Got a wife, eh? You're as sharp as a lancet. Yes, yes, no doubt. Got a wife. Yes, yes.
Gabblewig, aside.
A flash. The intense enjoyment of my friend suggests to me that old Nightingale hasn't got a wife. That he's free, but doesn't know it. Fraud.
To him.
I say, you're a... But Lord bless my soul, what an actor you was!
It's really touching, his relapsing into that. But I can't indulge him, poor fellow. My time is precious. You were going to say...
I was going to say you were up to a thing or two, and so... But Lord bless my heart alive, what a Richard III you was! When you used to come the sliding business, you know.
Both starting up and doing it.
This child of nature positively has judgment. It was one of my effects. Calm yourself, my good fellow. And so you were observing?
Gabblewig, close to him in a sudden whisper.
And so, I'll tell you, he hasn't really got a wife. She's dead.
Slap starts. Gabblewig aside.
I'm right. He knows it. Mrs. Nightingale's as dead as a doornail.
A pause. They stand close together looking at each other.
Indeed.
Gabblewig nods.
Some piece of cunning, I suppose.
Gabblewig winks.
Buried somewhere, of course.
Gabblewig lays his fingers on his nose.
Where?
Gabblewig looks disconcerted.
All safe? No proof?
Aloud.
Take away.
Gabblewig, as he goes to table.
Too sudden on my part. Formaville wins first knock-down blow. Never mind. Gabblewig, up again and at him once more.
clears table, and takes away tray.
How does he know? He's not in the market. Shall I buy him? Not yet. Necessity not proved. With Nightingale here, and my dramatic trunks upstairs, I'll strike at least another blow on the hot iron for myself, before I think of taking a partner into the forge.
Exit. As Gabblewig returns, enter Susan.
Susan! Susan!
Susan indeed. Well, diffidence ain't the prevailing complaint at Malvern.
Don't you know me, Mr. Gabble?
Wig! Why, la, sir, then you're the bootjack. Now I understand, of course.
More than I do. I the bootjack? Susan, listen. Did you know that Mr. Nightingale had been married?
Why, I never heard it exactly.
But you've seen it, perhaps? Had a peep into that eternal diary, eh?
Well, sir, to say the pious truth, I did read one day something or another about a wife. You see, he married a wife when he was very young.
Yes?
And she was the plague of his life ever afterwards.
Oh, Rosina, can such things be? Yes. Susan, I think you are a native of Malvern.
Yes, sir. Leastways I was so before I went to London.
You persuaded Mr. Nightingale to come down here in order that he might try the water cure.
La, sir.
And in order that you might see your relations?
La, sir. How did you know that?
Knowledge of human nature, Susan. Now rub up your memory and tell me, did you ever know a Mrs. Nightingale who lived down here? Think. Your eyes brighten. You smile. You did know a Mrs. Nightingale who lived down here.
To be sure I did, sir, but that could never have been.
Your master's wife? I suspect she was. She died?
Yes, sir.
And was buried?
You know everything.
In?
Why, in Pershore churchyard. My uncle was sexton there.
Uncle living?
90 years of age, with the trumpet.
That he plays on?
Plays on? No, hears with.
Good. Susan, make it your business to get me a certificate of the old lady's death, and that within an hour.
Why, sir?
Susan, I suspect the old lady walks, and I intend to lay her ghost. You ask how?
No, sir, I didn't.
You thought it. That you shall know by and by. Here comes the old bird. Fly!
Exit Susan.
Whilst I reconnoitre the enemy.
Exit. Enter Nightingale and Rosina.
My dear uncle, nothing rash. You are in capital health at present, and who knows what the doctors may make of you?
Capital health? I've not known a day's health for these 20 years.
Refers to diary.
January 6th, 1834. Pain in right thumb. Query. Gout. Send for Blair's pills. Take 6. Can't sleep all night. Doze about 7.
Turns over leaf.
March 12th, 1839. Violent cough. Query. Damp umbrella left by church rates in hall. Try lozenges. Bed at 6. Gruel. Tallow nose. Dream of general illumination. March 13th. Miserable. Cold always makes me miserable. Receive a letter from Mrs. Nightingale.
What did you say, sir?
Have the nightmare, my dear.
Aside.
Nearly betrayed myself.
Aloud.
You hear this, and you talk about capital health to a sufferer like me?
Enter Slap, dressed as a smug physician. He appears to be looking about the room.
Oh, my spirits, my spirits! I wonder what water will do for them.
Why, reduce them, of course. Ah, my dear uncle, I often think I am the cause of your disquietudes. I often think I ought to marry.
Very kind of you indeed, my dear.
Enter Gabblewig, with a very large tumbler of water.
Oh, all right, young man, I had better begin. So you think that you really ought, my love, purely on my account, to marry a magpie, don't you?
Gabblewig starts and spills water over Nightingale.
What are you about?
Oh, I beg pardon, sir.
Aside to Rosina.
Bless you.
Ah, Gab, uncle, don't be frightened, but...
Nightingale, about to drink, spills water.
Return of bootjack and strong person. I declare I'm taking all this water externally when I ought to—
Slap, seizing his hand.
Rash man, forbear. Drain that chalice, and your life's not worth a bodkin.
Dear sir, it's only water. I'm merely a pump patient.
Gabblewig and Rosina speak aside hurriedly.
Persever, and 12 men of Malvern will sit upon you in less than a week, and without retiring will bring in a verdict of found drowned.
Gabblewig, aside to Rosina.
I have my cue. Follow me directly. I'll bring you another glass, sir, in quarter of an hour.
Exit. Rosina steals after him.
A most debilitated pulse.
Taking away water.
Great want of coagulum. Lymphatic to an alarming degree. Stamina?
Strikes him gently.
Weak. Decidedly weak.
Right. Always was, sir. In 48, I think it was 48.
Refers.
Yes, here it is.
Reads.
Dyspeptic. Feel as if kitten at play within me. Try chalk and pea flour.
And grow worse.
Astonishing. I did, yes.
Reads.
Fever. Have head shaved.
And grow worse.
Amazing. Sir, you read me like a book. As there appears to be no dry remedy for my unfortunate case, I thought I'd try a wet one. And here I am at the cold water.
Water, unless in combination with alcohol, is poison unto you. You want blood. In man there are 2 kinds of blood, one in a vessel called a vein, hence venous blood, the other in the vessel called artery, hence arterial blood, the one dark, the other bright. Now, sir, the crassamentum of your blood is injured by too much water. How shall we thicken it, sir?
Produces bottle.
By mustard and milk.
Mustard and milk?
Mustard and milk, sir, exhibited with a balsam known only to myself.
Aside.
Rum.
Aloud.
Single bottles 1 guinea. Case of 12, £10.
Mustard and milk? I don't think I ever tried. Yes.
Opens diary.
1836. I recollect I once took 2 quarts of mustard seed fasting.
Pish.
And you'd really advise me not to take water?
Enter Gabblewig and Rosina in walking dresses, thick shoes, etc. They keep walking about during the following.
Who says don't take water? Who says so?
Why, this gentleman, who is evidently a man of science.
Pshaw! Hey, dear, not take water? Look at us. Look at us, Mr. and Mrs. Poulter. 6 months ago I never took water, did I, dear?
Never.
Hated it. Always washed in gin and water and shaved with spirits of wine. Didn't I, dear?
Always.
Then what was I? What were we, I may say, my precious?
You may.
A flabby-dabby couple, like a pair of wet leather gloves. No energy, no muscle, no go-ahead. Now you see what we are. Oh, dear, 10 miles before breakfast. Home, gallon of water. 10 miles more, gallon of water, and leg of mutton. 10 miles more, gallon of water. In fact, we're never quiet, are we, dear?
Never.
Walk in our sleep sometimes. Can't walk enough. That's a fact, eh, dear?
Yes, dear.
Confound this fellow. He'll spoil all.
Well, sir, if you really could pull up for a few minutes, I should be extremely obliged to you.
Here we are, then. Don't keep us long.
Looks at watch. Rosina does same.
Say a minute. Chronometer time.
You must know I'm an invalid.
5 seconds.
Come down here to try the cold water cure.
10 seconds.
Dear me, sir, I wish you wouldn't keep counting the time in that way. It increases my nervousness.
Can't help it, sir. 20 seconds. Go on, sir.
Well, sir, this gentleman tells me that my
Crassamentum must not be made too sloppy.
And therefore he advises, sir.
40 seconds. Eh, dear?
Show watches to each other.
Yes, dear.
I wish you wouldn't, and that he advises me to try mustard and milk, sir.
In combination with a rare balsam known only to myself. 1 guinea a bottle, case of 12 £10.
Time's up.
Walks again.
My darling, mustard and milk. Eh, dear? Don't we know a case of mustard and milk? Captain Blower, late 16 stone, now 10 1/2, all mustard and milk.
Slap aside.
Can anybody have tried it?
Gabblewig to Nightingale.
Don't be done. If I see Blower, I'll send him to you. Can't stop longer. 10 miles and a gallon to do before dinner. Leg of mutton and gallon at dinner. 5 miles and a wet sheet after dinner. Come, dear.
Exeunt.
A very remarkable couple. What do you think now, sir?
Think, sir? I think, sir, that any man who professes to walk 10 miles a day is a humbug, sir. I couldn't do it.
But then the lady...
I grieve to say that I think she is a humbug-ess. Those people, my dear sir, are sent about as cheerful examples of the effects of cold water. Regularly paid, sir, to waylay newcomers.
La, do you think so? Do you think there are people base enough to trade upon human infirmities?
Think so? I know it. There are men base enough to stand between you
Shows bottle.
and perfect health,
Shakes bottle.
who would persuade you that perpetual juvenility was dear at £1 a bottle, and that a green old age of 120 was not worth £10 the case. That perambulating water-cart is such a man.
Wretch! What an escape I've had! My dear doctor, you are a doctor?
D.D. and M.D. and corresponding member of the Mendicity Society.
Mendicity.
Medical.
Aside.
What a slip.
Then I shall be happy to try a bottle to begin with.
Gives money.
Ah, 1 bottle.
Gives bottle.
I've confidence in your case, you've none in mine. Ah, well.
A case be it then, and I'll pay the money at once. Permit me to try a little of the mixture.
Drinks.
It's not very agreeable. I think I'll make a note in my diary of my first sensations.
Enter Gabblewig as a great invalid. Rosina as an old nurse. Gabblewig calling.
Rosina, quick, your arm.
Aloud.
I tell you, Mrs. Trusty, I can't walk any further.
Now do try, sir. We are not a quarter of a mile from home.
A quarter of a mile? Why, that's a day's journey to a man in my condition.
Oh dear, what shall I do?
You seem very ill, sir.
Very, sir. I'm a snuff, sir. A mere snuff, flickering before I go out.
Oh, sir, pray don't die here. Try and get home and go out comfortably.
Did you ever hear of such inhumanity? And yet this woman has lived on board wages at my expense for 30 years.
My dear sir, here's a very clever friend of mine who may be of service.
I fear not, I fear not. I've tried everything.
Perhaps not everything. Pulse very debilitated, great want of coagulum, lymphatic to an alarming degree, stamina weak, decidedly weak.
Oh, I don't want you to tell me that, sir.
Crasamentum queer, very queer. No hope but in mustard and milk.
Gabblewig starting up.
Mustard and milk?
Mustard and milk?
Slap aside.
Is this Captain Blower?
Gabblewig to Nightingale.
Are you too a victim? Have you swallowed any of that man-slaughtering compound?
Nightingale alarmed.
Only a little, a very little.
How do you feel? Dimness of sight? Feebleness of limbs?
Nightingale, alarmed.
Not at present.
Oh, but you will, sir, you will. You never think I once rivaled that person in rotundity.
Never.
But he'll never do it again. He'll never do it again.
You never think that Madame Trussard wanted to model my leg and announce it as an extraordinary addition.
I certainly should not have thought it.
She might now put it in the Chamber of Horrors. Look at it.
It's nothing at all out of the flannel, sir.
Oh, mustard and milk, sir. I'm nothing but mustard and milk.
Nightingale seizes Slap.
You scoundrel! And to this state you would have reduced me?
Oh, this is some trick, sir, some cheat of the water doctors.
Why, you won't tell me that he's intended as a cheerful example of the effects of cold water?
I never said he was. He's one of the failures. But as two of a trade can never agree, I'll go somewhere else and spend your guinea.
Exit. Gabblewig, in his own voice.
What a brazen knave! Second knockdown blow to Gabblewig. Betting even. Anybody's battle. Gabblewig came up smiling and at him again.
Nightingale goes to Gabblewig.
My dear sir, what do I not owe you?
Shakes hands.
Oh, don't do that, sir. I shall tumble to pieces like a Fantassini figure if you do. I am only hung together by threads.
But let me know the name of my preserver, that I may enter it into my diary.
Captain Blower, R.N. I am happy to have rescued you from that quack. I declare the excitement has done me good. Oh, Rosie, Mrs. Trusty, I think I can walk now.
That's right, sir. Lean upon me.
Oh!
What's the matter, Captain Blower?
That's the milk, sir.
Dear me, Captain Blower.
And that's the mustard, sir.
Exit with Rosina.
Really, this will be the most eventful day in my diary, except one. That day which consigned me to Mrs. Nightingale and 20 years of misery. I've not seen her for 19, though I have periodical reminders that she is still in the land of the living, in the shape of quarterly payments of £25 clear of income tax. Well, I'm used to it, and so that I never see her face again, I'm content. I'll go find Rosina and tell her what happened. Quite an escape, I declare.
Exit. Susan, entering in bonnet, etc.
What a wicked world this is, to be sure! Everybody seems to be trying to do the best they can for themselves, and what makes it worse, the complaint seems to be catching, for I'm sure I can't help telling Mr. Gabblewig what a traitor that Tip is. I hope Mr. Gabblewig won't come in my way and tempt me. Ah, here he is, and I'm sure I shall fall.
Enter Gabblewig.
Well, Susan, have you got the certificate?
No, sir, but uncle has, and he'll be here directly. Oh, sir, if you knew what I've heard!
What?
I'm sure you'd give half a sovereign to hear. I'm sure you would.
I'm sure I should. And there's the money.
Well, sir, your man Tip's a traitor, sir. A conspirator, sir. I overheard him and another planning some deception. I couldn't quite make out what, but I know it's something to deceive Mr. Nightingale.
Find out with all speed what this scheme is about, and let me know. Who's that mountain in petticoats? Slap, or I'm not Gabblewig.
And with him Tip, or I'm not Susan.
Another flash. I guess it all. Susan, your mistress will instruct you what to do. Vanish, sweet spirit.
Exit Gabblewig and Susan. Enter Slap in female attire. He looks cautiously about.
I hope he's not gone out. I have a presentiment that my good luck is deserting me. But before we do part company, I'll make a bold dash and secure something to carry on with. Now, Mercury, befriend me.
Rings. Enter Lithers.
Did you ring, ma'am?
Yes, young man. I wish to speak with a Mr. Nightingale, an elderly gent who arrived this morning.
What name, ma'am?
Name no consequence. Say I come from Maria.
Maria?
Maria, a mutual friend of mine and Mr. Nightingale's, one he ought not to be ashamed of.
Yes, ma'am.
Aside.
Mr. Gabblewig's right.
Exit.
Maria's been dead these 12 years, during which time my victim has paid her allowance with commendable regularity to me, her only surviving brother. Ah, I thought that name was irresistible, and here he is.
Enter Nightingale.
His trepidation is cheering. He'll bleed freely. What a lamb it is.
Courtesies as he comes down.
Your servant, sir.
Now don't lose a moment. You say you've come from Maria? What Maria?
Your Maria.
I am sorry to acknowledge the responsibility.
Ah, sir, that poor creature's much changed, sir.
For the worse, of course.
I'm afraid so. No gin now, sir.
Then it's brandy.
Lives on it, sir, and breaks more windows than ever. She's heard that you've come down here.
So I suppose, by this visit?
She lives about a mile from Malvern.
Nightingale starts.
What? I thought she was down in Yorkshire.
Was and is two different things. She wanted for to come and see you.
Well, if she does, I'll stop her allowance.
And have her call every day? Maria's my friend, but I know that wouldn't be pleasant. She'd a proposal to make. So, Maria, says I'll see your lawful husband, as you is, sir, and propose for you.
I'll listen to nothing.
Not if it puts the sad sea waves between you and Maria for ever.
Nightingale, interested.
Eh?
You know she'd a brother, an excellent young man, who went to America 10 years ago.
Nightingale takes out diary.
I know.
Reads aside.
16th of May, 1841. Sent £50 to Mrs. N's vagabond brother going to America. Query, to the devil?
He's written to Maria to say that if you'll give her £200 and she'll come out, he'll take care of her forever.
Done. It's a bargain.
He bites. And her son for £100 more.
What son?
Oh, sir, you don't know your blessings. Shortly after you and Maria separated, a son was born. But Maria, to avenge herself, which was wrong, oh, it was wrong in her, that was, never let you know it, but sent him to the workus, as a fondling she had received in a basket.
I don't believe a word of it.
Oh, she said you wouldn't. But seeing is believing, so I've brought the innocent along with me. I've got the pretty here.
Here? In your pocket?
No, at the door.
They rise.
Oh, at the door.
Come in, Christopher. Named after you, sir. For spite of Maria's feelings, you divided her heart with old Tom.
Enter Tip as charity boy.
Oh, nonsense.
Christopher, behold your pa.
Boxes him.
What do you stand there for, like an 8-day clock or an idol, as if pa's was found every day?
Tip aside.
Don't you make me nervous?
Aloud.
And is that my pa?
Yes, child. Me, who took you from the month, can vouch for it.
Oh, pa.
Keep off, you young yellow hammer, or I'll knock you down. Harkee, ma'am, if you can assure me of the departure of your friend and this cub, I will give the money. For 20 years I have been haunted by—
Enter Gabblewig as an old woman.
Which the blessed innocent has been inveigled of, and man-trapped, leastwise boy-trapped, and never no more will I leave this house till I find a parent's hope, a mother's pride, and nobody's, as I'm aware on, joy.
Nightingale and Susan place chair.
What on earth is this? Who is a mother's pride and nobody's joy?
To Tip.
You don't mean to say you are?
Tip solemnly
I'm a orphan.
goes up to Gabblewig.
What are you talking about, you old bedlam?
Gabblewig, screaming and throwing arms about his neck.
Oh, my hope, my pride, my son!
Tip, struggling.
Your son?
Gabblewig, aside to him.
If you don't own me for your mother, you villain, on the spot, I'll break every bone in your skin, and have your skin prepared afterwards by the Bermondsey tanners.
My master!
Aloud.
My mother!
They embrace.
Are you mad? Am I mad? Are we all mad?
To Tip.
Didn't you tell me that whatever I said?
Tip, aside.
You've said, what is your voice to the voice of nature?
Embraces his master again.
Nature! Nature! Oh!
Screams, chair brought.
Oh, you unnatural monster! Who see your first tooth dawn on a deceitful world? Who watched you running alone in a go-cart and tipping over on your precious head upon the paving stones in the confidence of childhood? Who give you medicine that reduced you when you was sick, and made you so when you wasn't?
Who? Me?
You, ma'am?
Me, ma'am, as is well known throughout all the country round, which the name of this sweetest of babes, as will give to his own joyful self when blessed in best Whitechapel mixed upon a pincushion, and mother saved likewise was Absalom, arter his own parental father as never, otherwise than through being bad in liquor, lost a day's work in the wheelwright business, which is and was but limited, Mr. Nightingale, being wheels of donkey chaise and goats, and one was having drawn by geese for a wager, and went right into the centre aisle for the parish church on a Sunday morning, on account of obstinacy of the animals, as can be certified by Mr. Wiggs the beadle, afore he died on drawing on his Wellington boots, to which he was not accustomed, arter a hearty meal of beef and walnuts, to which he was too partial, and in the marble fountain of that church, this preciousest of infants was made Absalom, which never can be unmade no more, I am proud to say, to please nor give offence to no one, nowheres, and no hows.
Would you forswear your blessed mother, Maria Nightingale, lawful wedded wife of this excellent old gent? Why don't the voice of nature claim its par?
Oh, don't make me a consideration on any account.
Maria Nightingale, which affliction sore long time she bore.
And so did I.
Physicians was in vain, which she never had none particulars I knows of, excepting one which she tore her hair by handfuls out in consequences of differences of opinion relative to her complaint. But it was written on her tombstone 10 year and more ago, and dead she is as the host of the Egyptian fairies.
Dead? Prove it, and I'll give you £50.
Prove it? I defies her.
Aside.
I'm done.
Prove it, which I can, and will directly minute, by my brother the sexton, as I will produce in the twinkling of a star or human eye.
Aside.
From this period of the contest, Gabblewig has had his own way, and went in and won. No money was laid out at any price on Fomerville. 50 to 1 on Gabblewig freely offered, and no takers.
Exit. Slap, aside.
I don't like this, so exit slap.
Nightingale, seizing him.
No, ma'am, you don't leave this place till the mystery is cleared up.
Unhand me, monster! I claims my habeas corpus.
Breaks from him. Nightingale goes to the door and prepares to defend the pass with a chair. To Tip.
As for you, traitor, though I'm not pugnacious, I'd give you a lesson in the art of self-defence you shall remember as long as you live.
You! The bottle mess has been my ruin. Reduce yourself to my weight, and I'll fight you for £1.
Squares. Gabblewig, without.
I'll soon satisfy this gentleman.
Then I'm done, very much done. I see nothing before me but premature incarceration and an old age of gruel.
Gabblewig enters as sexton.
Oh, he's very old. My invaluable centenarian, will you allow me to inquire?
Oh, I don't hear.
He's very deaf.
Aloud.
Will you allow me to inquire?
It's no use whispering to me, sir. I'm hard of hearing.
He's very provoking.
Louder.
Whether you ever buried...
Brood? Yes, I brood. That is, me and my wife, as has been dead and gone this 40 years next hop picking. My wife was a Kentish woman. We brewed, especially one year, the strongest beer you ever drunk. It was called in our country Samson with his hair on, alluding to its great strength, you understand. And my wife, she said...
Nightingale, very loud.
Buried, not brewed.
Buried? Oh, yeah. Yes, buried a many. They was strong too, once.
Did you ever bury a Mrs. Nightingale?
Ever bury a nightingale? No, only Christians.
Nightingale in his ear.
Mrs. Nightingale.
Oh, yes. Buried her. Rather a fine woman. Married, as the folks told me, an uncommon ugly man. Yes. Used to live here. Here.
Taking out pocketbook.
Is the certificate of her burial.
Gives it.
I got it for my sister. Oh, yes. Buried her. I thought you meant a nightingale.
My dear friend, there's a guinea, and it's cheap for the money.
Gives it.
I thank ye, sir. I thank ye.
Aside.
Formerville heavily grasped, and 1,000 to 1 on Gabblewig.
Exit. Nightingale, after reading certificate.
You inexpressible swindler! If you were not a woman, I'd have you ducked in the horse pond.
Tip on knees.
Oh, sir, do it. He deserves it.
He?
Yes, sir. She's a he. He deluded me with a glass of rum and water, and the promise of a £5 note.
Nightingale to slap.
You scoundrel!
Sir, you are welcome to your own opinion. I am not the first man who has failed in a great endeavour. Napoleon had his Waterloo, Slap has his Malvern. Henceforth I am nobody. The eagle retires to his rock.
Enter Gabblewig in his own dress.
You had better stop here. Be content with plain Slap. Discard counterfeit Formerville, and we'll do something for you.
Mr. Gabblewig.
Exit.
Charlie Bitt, Mr. Poulter, Captain Blower, respectable female, and deaf sexton, all equally at anybody's service.
What do I hear?
Me.
And what do I see?
Rosina entering.
Me. Dear uncle, you would have been imposed upon and plundered and made even worse than you ever made yourself, but for...
Me. My dear Mr. Nightingale, you did think I could do nothing but talk? If you now think I can act, a little, let me come out in a new character.
Embracing Rosina.
Will you?
Will I? Take her, Mr. Gabblewig. Stop, though. Ought I to give away what has made me so unhappy? Memorandum. Mrs. Nightingale. See Diary.
Takes out book.
Stop, sir. Don't look. Burn that book and be happy.
Brings on Slap.
Ask your doctor. What do you say, mustard and milk?
I say, sir, try me, and when you find me not worth a trial, don't try me any more. As to that gentleman's destroying his diary, sir, my opinion is that he might perhaps refer to it once again.
Gabblewig to audience.
Shall he refer to it once more?
To Nightingale.
Well, I think you may.
Curtain. End of Mr. Nightingale's Diary, a farce in one act by Charles Dickens and Mark Lemon.